Let's go to another division battle. San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks by 2.5 as of right now. Unfortunately, the Niners are without Deebo Samuel as they were just getting back to full speed. And you watch Deebo and Brandon Ayuk and the way those guys are being used in space. You're like, all right, Niners offense starting to look a little bit like last year. Garoppolo distributing, facilitating. Another facilitator there.
We're going to need a new word for that as well.
Yeah, we will.
We can get a thesaurus.
So next time we want to say the same word that you've already said, we just pull up the
We
thesaurus.
don't even have the helmet. Look, you bring Austin into the booth, and we don't have a helmet set up or anything. This is a train
Can
wreck.
we get our sponsor's helmet out here, please? Oh, you got it, Sam? All right. Finally, the Steve Palazzolo NFL podcast. Let me tell you about this 49ers. Sam just left, but in the Seahawks matchup. Russell Wilson coming off a game with 3 turnovers, 2 of which were certainly his fault and disastrous. And, going back home, does Seattle, here's my big question with Seattle and Brian Schottenheimer and Pete Carroll. Were the turnovers enough to pull Russ out of the kitchen?
Right. I've been kind of saying, this was my point on the Mina podcast, right? We were on Mina's show, and the question was basically, what is wrong with all of the best teams in the NFL? It's perfect for me, right? The negative aspect of all this.
Great. It was a great show.
Right.
An hour of negativity from Sam.
So my thing with the Seahawks is, at some point, they are just itching to go conservative again.
See, I told you he's going to turn it over if he has to throw it 50 times.
You don't erase that many years of being that conservative with like one off season of, we're just going to let Russ air it out, see what happens. No, it doesn't happen. Somewhere in the back of their brains, they're just waiting for the trigger to go back to like ultra conservative, pound the football, don't let Russ make a mistake. That's crazy talk. And that could be it. I think it's going to happen in the playoffs sometime where you meet good teams and it's like, I don't know if we want to be letting him pass 30 times against
December
the Bucs.
and January football's one on the ground
against the Bucs in the postseason. Look at that defense. But that could be it, right? I don't know. Russ made a few mistakes against Arizona. Maybe we dial it back a little bit.
I don't think that they do, but
Okay.
I could see it. It's a division matchup. It's a division matchup against a team that does like to run the ball. And, is their takeaway? Look, this is where we've criticized teams in the past, is when things go wrong, they might not fully be able to they don't fully realize why it went wrong. They might look at the wrong things, right? If Seattle looks at that game and they're like, you know what? Things went wrong because Wilson threw the ball 50 times and there were turnovers that were bad. What are you smirking at, man?
I'm not smirking. This is my default face.
What's happened here? Anyway, do they go back and say the turnovers are why we lost? Instead of saying Russell Wilson played an outstanding game for 95% of it, but that 5% is what cost us the game, and we can't have that.
The turnovers were why they lost. Like, it would be true. The question is,
but the overall body of work was still far more positive than negative.
But that's
for Russ.
different, right? The question is that a reason to go to a different game plan? It doesn't matter why you lost. That is a reason you lost.
It was.
But the question is, do we therefore change what we want to do off the back of that because it was a mistake? To which the answer is no. Russell Wilson is A, playing out of his mind, and B, by far your best chance to win the game. So don't take it out of his hands just because he made some mistakes, which he did. And they did cost you the game. That's fine. That's going to happen in the NFL. It's a tough league, and mistakes are going to be a problem. So, that's the thing I'm most interested, though, is will they go back to a more conservative game plan? And then obviously the other side of the ball is Kyle Rembrandt Shanahan against the latest defense trying to stop him. Bill Belichick got wrecked by Rembrandt. Can Pete Carroll's defense do any better?
So Seattle, they made a trade this week as well. They bring in an edge defender of their own, Carlos Dunlap.
Have you been on his house yet?
I have not. That was great. So Dunlap, who lives here in Cincinnati, obviously, former Bengal, right after the game on Sunday, tweets out that his house is for sale.
It sounded very nice.
It did sound.
Did you?
He only has 4 bedrooms though.
But it's like a 6,000 square foot house. Think how big that makes the bedrooms.
I need bedrooms though.
You do. Well, on the other hand, if they're huge, bunk beds.
Yeah, the kids don't sleep well when
The,
they're in the same. Well, I'll consider it.
AJ Hawk was on Pat McAfee's show and was telling him a story about, AJ Hawk was in Cincinnati for however long he was there.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just need to rent like a small apartment for a while, right? And apparently Dunlap back then was trying to sell him that house.
Oh, really?
So he's been trying to shift that for a while. I don't know.
He's been on his way out.
Might not be a quick sale.
The New England media have been tracking Stephon Gilmore's house being for sale.
Oh, yeah?
Which we'll talk about.
Well, they nailed that with the Brady thing.
They did.
Brady's house was for sale. It was no, he's just moving mansions. Don't worry about it.
Reporting in 2020 is just, surfing Zillow and seeing who's getting ready to
it's
trade.
Zillow and Instagram. Did he unfollow somebody on Instagram, and is his house for sale?
That is
Those are the only two things we need to know.
That's why Schefter's so good. He's probably got 10 interns checking Insta.
And then the last one is there a private plane in flight somewhere?
Yeah, that's why we're not good reporters. We're not good.
We don't have any of those things.
No Instagram feel. No, not on Zillow enough. Anyway, Carlos Dunlap, Seattle's pass rush is rough when Jamal Adams is not in there. So Dunlap, who has not played well this year for the Bengals, but last year was really good. We talked about him a lot when we were trying to, have some positives about the Bengals last year. Dunlap was like the one.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be rejuvenated up there, and he immediately becomes their best one-on-one pass rusher other than spurts of Benson Mayowa. Yeah, and Jamal Adams.
He's a year removed from a career season.
Right.
Last year was the best year of his career in terms of PFF grade, in terms of PFF pass rushing grade. He had 50-plus total pressures, which is more than anyone on the Seattle defense right now had or has had. It's more than anyone last year had except Jadeveon Clowney. So, yeah, he should be. Now, this season has been anything but that. On the other hand, it's been pretty clear from the outset that he's not happy there, right? He's wanted out for a while. They benched him. It's been going south for Dunlap here for some time. So I think you can probably not throw it out completely, and maybe you don't expect him to have a career year again, but he's somewhere in the middle, right? He isn't as bad as he's played this year, and he's not as good as he was last season, which is his high watermark. But I agree that he immediately becomes their best pass rusher and probably best edge defender, period, and is a massive upgrade for a team that basically got him for a song. This is the perfect sort of trade deadline approaching trade from a Seattle point of view, right? You hold out, you had a desperate need somewhere, and oh look, there's a disgruntled, pretty good player who suddenly is available for almost nothing. Snag.
I think they were in the market, they were considering a Carlos Dunlap, Aldon Smith, Everson Griffin. So Dunlap should help in the run game for sure. Again, they don't have a pass rusher graded above 65 on their defensive line other than Jonathan Bullard, who only has 41 snaps to his name. So across the board, they're not getting after the QB. And, 16 total pressures for Benson Mayowa on 226 attempts, which is a huge number. That's top 5 in the league, but only 16 pressures. Demontre Moore, only 11 pressures. They need help up there. So that should help for Seattle just a little bit. I want to see the Niners defense though too. They've played pretty well in recent weeks, and you have Jason Verrett playing pretty well. Just like last week, Tyler Lockett looked like a nice matchup against Drake Kirkpatrick and Patrick Peterson. That matchup's going to be awesome when Verrett and Lockett are matched up against each other. But I think it might be more of a DK Metcalf type of day for Seattle here.
That's going to be interesting because, again, Jason Verrett, as good as he is, falls into the category of how does that human cover a DK Metcalf? Just from a size point of view. You can run with him, sure. But again, he outweighs you by 40 pounds. How do you deal with that? You can't. There's only so much you can deal with in terms of offsetting size.
A lot of hand slapping.
Yeah, eventually he's just going to beat you up at the catch point and catch the football and swat you aside. It's nothing you can do about it. We saw the kind of physical freak DK is running down Budda Baker. As good as Jason Verrett is, and it's amazing to see him playing this well, given what he's been through. At some point, he's going to be one-on-one with DK, and that if I'm Russell Wilson, that's an immediate ball in the air.
Yes, absolutely. I think this will be a good matchup, man. Seattle's got a whole bunch of guys questionable. Jamal Adams still battling injury, has only played 3 games this year. Shaquille Griffin's questionable. Benson Mayowa, who I mentioned earlier, questionable. Dwayne Brown, questionable. This is as of Wednesday, so there's a lot that still can happen.
I just found the flaw in Austin, the camera guys. Be patient on the cameras. Don't switch over too early. But if you cough after you finish talking, you'll still be on the camera shot.
Come Come on,
I
look.
mean, look, these are the things that you learn as you're going through your training process.
Listen, sometimes when you're dealing with interns, you have to have patience.
That's true.
So
That's true.
Austin's essentially, it
was my fault.
a producing intern right now. It's about time Austin did something for this company and, moved us forward by helping out, the top podcast in the
Catch
company.
him on a 2-for-1 Drafts podcast.
Yeah, 2-for-1 Drafts. Austin,
Where he doesn't operate the cameras.
well, maybe he could. Maybe he could do everything.
Yeah.
Austin Gale, MVP of PFF, is behind the scenes here today. We just wanted to give him a shout out. We appreciate him. All right, so what do you like? Who do you like in this game? Seattle 2.5 at home. Do they bounce back after the weird loss against the Cardinals?
I think they do. I think they will be annoyed at that loss.
Yeah.
Will look to bounce back in a significant way. And
Agreed.
I think they'll do enough against that 49ers offense to slow them down.
I think we'll learn a lot on the first drive. The first drive Seattle had against Arizona. Well, the first drive, Russ, 5 straight passes.
Whether he cooks or not?
Yes.
Okay.
5 straight passes, touchdown, right? That dictated what their strategy was going to be in that game. If they come out and it's run, pass, then maybe they're too conservative. But if they keep the ball in Russ's hands and they trust him, I like Seattle in this one.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.